Are you virtue signaling or advocating? Hi, I'm Ann Margaret with this week's Raise the Vibration message to raise the frequency of your body, mind, and spirit. So, today's talk, we're going to look at the difference between virtue signaling and advocating, why we tend towards the former, why our human egoic needs tend towards the former, and what we can do to healthily embody an advocate archetype so that we can assist really our purpose in making the difference we wish to make. And lastly, we'll pull two intuition cards to access further subconscious insight. So thanks so much for joining me. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's take a look at advocacy. What is the definition of advocating? So to advocate means to speak, plead, or argue in favor of or support of. And an advocate is one that pleads in another's behalf, an intercessor. So we think about what examples are of advocate, like true advocates in the world. And we see a legal advocate. That's one of the first things that comes to my mind. Someone who's advocating for someone's legal rights. And then I thought also I met a really cool doula over the last week. And a doula is an advocate for women's rights in pregnancy and delivery. So and a doula is there to advocate for the woman's choice, how she wants to go through pregnancy, how she wants to do the delivery. It's not to shame the doctor's advice. It's not to shame the doctor's beliefs or try and change her beliefs. It's truly to advocate for the woman who is pregnant. Okay, this is very critical when we think about the definition of advocacy. So let's take a look at some of the shadow aspects of advocacy, because this is where we get confused. We spoke last week all about virtue signaling, something that to put something on your social media page to say, hey, look, hey, I'm being virtuous, or the flip side of it saying, hey, you're not being virtuous, you're not being righteous, and attacking others or canceling them or blocking them or unsubscribing based on our judgment of what they're doing. So let's go back to the advocacy. So shadow aspect of advocacy is shaming, making others wrong for what they believe or what you think they believe based on your observation of them. Also, a shadow advocacy is really not owning your own filter. So if you think that you're advocating, but you're not owning your own filter, like how you're seeing someone else or how you're seeing the world, this is a dysfunction that is found in the third and sixth chakras. There's third, the solar plexus, and the sixth, the center of our intuition, our insight point, our higher seeing place. So in the dysfunctions, we connect to our personal egoic power through how we see the world or how we want to be seen. The actual sense of sight is what's associated with this third chakra, and then the sixth chakra is that higher seeing place. So the dysfunctions lay in the third and sixth chakra because we are very much responsible for the filters through which we are seeing the world, how we are choosing to see the world, taking responsibility for how we are seeing the world. And then tapping into that higher seeing place, why are we choosing, consciously choosing or unconsciously choosing those filters? So the shadow of that advocacy is shaming others, making others wrong, not owning your own filter, just thinking that the way you see things is the ultimate, is the truth, rather than owning your own part in it, your own judgments or your own blind spots, and focusing on what you are against, not what you are for. So this is a shadow part of this advocate archetype. So we can be really clever in tricking ourselves, can't we? Like say, well, yeah, I'm for this. I'm not against this. I'm for this. But what we're really doing is trying to eliminate something in this world, trying to fight against something. And we'll see, like, this may seem superficially, like just on the surface, as something that's very driving. And that might be why we kind of hook into our purpose in life. But it can be the very thing that not only makes our advocacy ineffective, but also results in a real trap of suffering and divisiveness with our desire to make an impact in this world. So let's talk about two human egoic needs that cause this temptation to be in the shadow attribute of advocacy and virtue signaling rather than true advocacy. So the first is the need to be seen. Every single human being has the need to be seen. And one of the most beautiful practices I ever experienced with this and true realization of this and how it touched my soul was when Anthony and I were in an interfaith seminary in New York. Shout out to One Spirit. It's a 2-year interfaith seminary where you study all the world religions and you learn how to be a uniting force or bridging the gaps between people of different faiths, cultures, backgrounds, etc. And the very first day of this 2-year experience, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. We were in a room of about 80 strangers that after 2 years became like our family. And the first exercise that we were asked to do as seminarians was to get up and walk around the room and not introduce ourselves from our egoic name or who we were or where we were from or anything. But what we were asked to do was to walk around the room and say, "Hi, I see you and I am here to be seen." And then the other person responds, "Hi, I see you and I am here to be seen." And even just taking that in right now, it just brings me to tears, because when we are not seen in this world, when we are not recognized, when our true purpose or our true sovereignty, I use that word a lot, we're going to talk about that in a second, when we're not seen, we do not have the listening of those around us or the world to step into our greatness. So our need to be seen, the shadow attribute of that is social media and putting our value or what we think our value is on social media. This is a trap. Obviously, you probably already know that just thinking about it. But also another egoic need is our need for purpose, our need to know that our life matters, that we are here to do something with our life and make our mark on the world. So the question is to ask yourself, are you defining your purpose by being against something? Are you focusing on what's wrong with the world, what needs fixing, and looking through that filter? Let's go on. So our human egoic desires are different from our human egoic needs. So our need to be seen, our need to have purpose, and many other needs, but we're focusing on those today, are different from desires. So let's look at the desire that we've got. So desires for egoic control and a quick fix. So we want to be right. Our ego wants to be right in the midst of what's going on. We want to be on the winning team. We want to look good. We want to be seen as elite or empowered. And the shadow attribute of that, the shadow reality of that desire from the ego, is advocating for uniformity. Like, if you're right about something, you want everybody else to agree with you, want everybody else to see that you're right. And so you're advocating for uniformity, and we're missing the brilliance of this human experience, which is that we're all unique. We all are very, very unique. So we have a desire to eliminate sovereignty, and sovereignty is complete independence and self-government. So that's that unique self that we all have going through the world, that no one knows what it's like to be in our shoes, and we don't know what it's like to be in anyone else's. So this is a challenge, but our egoic desire is to eliminate that people will be different from us. And the shadow reality that we're creating is we're advocating for what Orwell in his dystopian novel 1984 called the thought police. So the thought police is where personal and political thoughts that are unapproved by government or unapproved by us, in social media elite land, is not okay. It should be punished. So question to ask is, are you being the thought police? Are you recognize that we are living in a free country with free will, with freedom of speech? Or are you trying to be the thought police for people who disagree with you or do not present themselves as you think that they should? So that's that desire to eliminate sovereignty or independence or that beautiful gift that we've been given called free will. All right, so let's talk about that just a little further. I actually want to read this to you. I pulled this for the First Amendment of the United States Constitution and it's also included in the Bill of Rights, prevents the government, and we can talk about any leadership, not just our US government, but the government bodies, people who are influential, people who are on social media, whatever it is, making laws which regulate an establishment of religion, prohibit the free exercise of religion, and we can replace that with belief system, opinion, etc., or abridge the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the right to peaceably assemble, or the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. So this is our First Amendment. And there are so many people who are, whether you agree with them or not, my goal here is not to get you to conform to what I believe, but to protect your rights as a human being, to recognize what's not working in your life and find freedom around awakening blind spots in your life so that you are able to move through this life in the most peaceful, empowered way. So there are people in this world who are putting information out there, who are being blocked by YouTube. Their whole channels are being eliminated. Like, we are collectively under not only YouTube, but Facebook, social media. People their free speech is being not only challenged, but eliminated. They're being erased. And I'm going to go next week and talk about the cancel culture of social media, because I've been promising that for a while, and we'll get there. But what's important about this is that we have to honor the First Amendment, and that's not a bad thing. Like, we need to recognize that this First Amendment was brilliantly, in my opinion, divinely channeled to start this country in a beautiful way. So let's go back to our human egoic desires. We have a desire to eliminate free will. To have people have the ability to choose, to have free choice, to, without the coercion or restraint. We want to promote free will. And the shadow reality of that is that we're actually advocating for slavery. We're advocating for people to abide by this and that and not have their freedom. So another desire is to impose our agenda. Haven't you been in that position before where someone is trying to change you? Someone is trying to change you, or whatever it is, or desire to purify the tribe, like for out of their own comfort level. So the shadow reality of that is that you're trying to dominate. You're trying to eliminate what people can do, or kick anybody out that's different, and say, oh, it's not me, it's them. Okay, this is a huge trap. So let's go into now the barometer questions. How do we know if we are virtue signaling or if we are advocating? Asking questions like, am I caught in a black and white dichotomy, a division in two contrasting things where this is right, that's wrong, I'm better than that, they're less than that, I am good, they're bad, I'm holy, they're evil. Whatever we are, it's a this way or a that way. There's no gray area. So this is divisive and will always end in suffering. So an example is changing someone, getting someone to realize they're wrong. Another question to ask yourself, do I have an ultimatum? Are my filters fascist? Are they authoritarian, dictatorial, or are they suppressive? Am I seeking to teach, correct, or rather than learn? There's nothing more frustrating than having somebody you didn't ask for advice from, you didn't ask for them to be your teacher, and have them project their judgments onto you to tell you what they think is wrong with you, and you never signed up for their class. So when there's little to no relatedness between you and someone else, there's no trust or very little intimacy, there needs to be that established, or there cannot be a trust of deepening or growing with each other. So the last question I would say to ask yourself is, am I seeking to be understood, or am I seeking to understand? This is so crucial, because if you're being provoked by someone, rather than projecting your judgment onto them, can you ask the questions, why are you doing this? I'm seeking to understand. And if it's not genuine, they'll know it. Remember, you have no idea what it's like to be in their shoes, and they have no idea what it's like to be in yours. So success in advocacy, it comes from honoring that this human experience will never be uniformed. Like Mother Teresa said, I was once asked why I don't participate in anti-war demonstrations. I said, I'll never do that, but as soon as you have a pro-peace rally, I'll be there. All right. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, Keep raising the vibration. Okay, bye everybody.